In this video, I'd like to talk to you about InDesign layers. If you've used Photoshop before, and especially if you're coming over to InDesign from Photoshop, you're very familiar with layers. And layers in Photoshop is a different thing compared to layers in InDesign. The reason why it's different is that in Photoshop, you've got that flattened document, and then you add pixel data on top and on top and on top. And if you're not adding new layers, you'll never gonna be able to go back. And InDesign as well, in Illustrator, if you add objects of the page in this case, you can always select them and identify them individually. So what's layers? Chances are, if you've worked with InDesign, you may never have pulled up the layers panel here, but there's some very good reason to why you should. The way I use layers in InDesign is to simply organize and be able to turn on and off and lock certain parts of the document. So for example, if I were to create a document here that I have text and that I have image on, and that I also have background elements on, it'll become messy to have it all on one layer, especially if I want to preview how it looks with or without certain type of content. So what I could do is say, make a layer here, first page, that is the background of the page. I can name this, say, background. And then another layer here that I name text. And this is probably the most common way. So I can insert some text on this page, and I'm going to just fill this with some default InDesign placeholder text. Once it pops up the control menu here, I'm just going to select fill with placeholder text here. And it's going to fill this with some dummy text for me. If I just go ahead and zoom in here, you're going to see the text. And I'm going to create another new layer just for the sake of things. I'm going to name this images. We've got these three basic layers when I usually any document. So let's import an image. Well, so I want to go ahead and I want to grab an image. I have got an image here that I want to use. I've got a photo that I'm just gonna pull in here. Let's hope it doesn't come in really huge. Let's see, I'm gonna go and file, place, and a photo that I want to use right here. Okay, so let's place this in about nice. And what I want to do with this image, notice I did add it to the image, I did switch layer, and I'm gonna just give it a tap. Going to select the image, give it a text wrap around. I'm gonna say wrap to left side only, and with linking these together, I'm just gonna increase size here slightly until we have a nice little wrap here. Now, because I added these in different layers, I can go ahead and do an otherwise difficult selection sometimes can be objects close to a text wrap. Well, what I could do is lock down these, so it's now impossible for me to change or actually select the image, but I can move the text around. So I can lock down the text and focus on the image, and I'm able to even select this text layer. And going even further, what I can do is, of course, hide and show different parts here. So I can use images and I hide and show all the images on the same with text, same with the background element. So all of this, apart from a nice organizational standpoint, gives a good share. It does make you easier to separate the different parts of your document than if you had everything on one layer, trying to select that ground behind the full on top layer text. If I were to have, let's add a background here so you can see what I mean. If I add this background just height here, and I'm going to make this a very light background here, so it's going to show that it is a background. So selecting this background with this text just at the side of this is going to be really hard. If I don't just delete the text, remove the text out of place. Of course, I can just hide the text layer and then select it, which is always an option now that I have used it and placed it on layers. So there's the benefit of using layers in InDesign right there.